Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Today's video, we're going to be chatting about optimal hydration. Before we do, make sure you click down below, put your comments, make sure you smash that like button, and hit the bell for more notifications of good videos coming your way. Really appreciate it. And if you could write us a review, justinhealth.com/iTunes for a review, that'd be great. Screenshot it and shoot it to us, and we will do a video potentially more on that topic. All right, so hydration, very important. So 70% of your body is water. And when we're consuming water, we also want minerals. So many people, they make the mistake of thinking, oh, I'm hydrated, and they never can quite catch their thirst or quench their thirst. Part of the reason why is water is a very important vehicle for minerals. So I always tell patients, the good rule of thumb is about half your body weight in ounces for water, right? So if you're 200 pounds, 100 ounces of water, right? 150 pounds, 75 ounces of water. That's a pretty good rule of thumb. Now, if you're doing a lot of diuretics, coffee, teas, and a lot of exercise or sweating or sauna, you may need more of that. Okay, that's kind of a good starting point. Now, I always recommend starting off the day with a good quarter to a half a teaspoon of some really good clean minerals. I like Redmond's Real Salt. It's got about 72 different minerals in there. It's really good sodium, good chloride. A bunch of other smaller kind of micronutrients in there. Very good. I like doing that to start the day. And then I typically will drink like a mineral water during the day, like a Pellegrino or a Topo Chico. It's kind of a good first start, and it's got good minerals. I like the bubbles. It kind of keeps me relatively hydrated and good minerals throughout the day. Many people make the mistake of drinking clean water without the minerals, and that may cause you to not really quench that thirst. So if you're drinking distilled water or reverse osmosis water, right, clean water, but they may not have the minerals in there. So like, for instance, the reverse osmosis filter that I have, it's got a 6 filter that does add the calcium and magnesium back in, which is nice. It's not enough, so I still would pinch a little bit of water in there at least twice a day, half a teaspoon, quarter teaspoon twice a day, and or just kind of pinch a little bit of minerals in my water throughout the day just to get some good minerals in. I'll try to hydrate and drink some good minerals during the day in my mineral water. If you notice, I try to do more glass during the day. I try to avoid plastics. If you're kind of to go and you have access to maybe a countertop filter or a water filter somewhere else and you want to use that water during the day, you can. You may just want to get a nice clean canteen, kind of stainless steel filter, or like a Life Factory kind of glass water bottle filter. Those are some good options if you want something to go. That's very helpful. So in general, half your body weight in ounces. Look at your urine flow. You don't want it to be like pure, clear like it's water. You want it maybe just a gentle tinge to it. And of course, if you're drinking or you're taking an extra B vitamins, a B vitamin supplement, you could be dumping some B vitamins out, and that's okay. I tell my patients that, no such thing as expensive urine. I'd rather have you dumping the B vitamins out, because if you're not dumping them out, you're probably not getting enough, especially if you're stressed. So some B vitamins in your urine causing it to be a little more yellow, that's okay. But a gentle yellow tinge is pretty good. And getting the minerals in there throughout the day is important. Now, there's a couple of X factors. Some patients, they may need a little more magnesium or potassium. Now, potassium isn't the best mineral to add to water because it tastes pretty bad. You can do something called new salt, which is like a potassium chloride. You can add that to your water. You can always do a potassium, magnesium together outside of it. So if your cramping is not getting better or your heart issues aren't getting better, because remember, your cells need sodium and potassium to function well, right? Your sodium potassium pump, potassium goes in the cell, sodium goes out of the cell. We need this kind of natural gradient for our cells to communicate and work well. We need that. We need good calcium for action potential, depolarization of the cell. We need all these really important minerals. If we don't get enough of it, your cells aren't going to function right. Your electrical system in your heart will not function right either. Magnesium is also kind of a natural beta blocker, so it really helps that sinus, atrial ventricular rhythm in the heart. Really important. So if we don't get these minerals, we're not going to have good communication among our cells via the sodium potassium pump. We're not going to have good communication at the heart either. And so the X factor outside of just some of the minerals in your water would be potassium and magnesium. So keep that in the back of your mind. When you are stressed and you are elevating cortisol due to stress, you could be dumping out more potassium. So that's one X factor. So you may not be getting enough because you're dumping it out because you're stressed. You also may not be getting enough magnesium either, because magnesium is one of those things you're going to burn up more with stress, and you'll also burn it up more with carbohydrate. So when you consume lots of refined carbohydrate, refined sugar, it definitely will cause you to need more magnesium and more B vitamins to process that. So keep that in the back of your head. So hydration is important. Half your body weight in ounces. If you're constantly thirsty, even if you think you're drinking enough water, then you want to make sure that you add extra minerals like I mentioned before. Different kinds of filtration. So we have different activated charcoal filters are good. They're not going to filter out everything. They won't filter out all the fluoride. They will miss a little bit of things. So the gold standard will be a reverse osmosis. Again, just make sure if you get one that has a post-mineral filter. No big deal if you don't. We'll just have to pinch a little bit of some sea salt in there. That's going to be a good substitute. I'd rather always have water more clean and add minerals back in than not have it fully clean. So in my home, I have a whole house filter that's a activated charcoal kind of carbon-based filter. Still really good. Still can drink it most of the time. Still great. Clean showers, good smell. No, takes out almost all that chlorine. A lot of the pharmaceuticals does clean out a lot of parasitic cysts. So a lot of stuff is cleaned out and a lot of great benefits from a good activated charcoal whole house filter. A under-the-counter reverse osmosis is the best. Now, it does dump a bit of water, meaning it's a lot of wasted water in the reverse osmosis. And because of that, and it takes a long time to fill up the filtration tub that is needed for it. So it's reverse osmosis is not the best for a whole house for that reason. So it's really good for like your under-the-counter filter. Like mine, I have a nice little 1.5 gallon tank, and then I primarily use it for like drinking and maybe cooking. Like that's pretty much it. So using a reverse osmosis for a whole house is just not efficient. The tank that holds it has to be pretty darn big. With an activated charcoal filter, you don't really need a tank because they can just pass through that membrane in real time, so you don't need a holding tank for it. So with an RO, you need a holding tank, and there's also quite a bit of water that does get wasted from that process. So there's a lot of waste with an RO. So if you're using an RO, better for an under-the-counter RO. That way there's not much waste at all, and you're only doing it with drinking water and cooking water, and that's pretty good. And so in general, activated charcoal still pretty good, still a great step, still way better than drinking water. Will clean out a lot of stuff, won't touch all the fluoride, and may not get all the pharmaceuticals, but it'll get a good whack of it. And then the RO does the rest. And so then in worst case, you get an RO that has something that we can add minerals back in, like a post filter. I'm going to put the ones that I personally use in my own house and practice, and I personally use over the years. So only products that I personally use and like, I will recommend, just so you guys know. So we'll put affiliate links below so you guys can see that for my countertop, under the counter, as well as whole house. So in general, if you're doing a whole house, still can drink it. Not the best all the time because it may not get all the fluoride, but it will do pretty good. And so you can always pinch and add some minerals back into both of those, and that's a pretty good substitute. Now, if you're low in minerals, symptoms are going to be not having your thirst quenched, maybe having some fasciculations, like your muscles just kind of quiver a little bit, or maybe you have just some more cramping, or maybe you have some heart rate issues or some tachycardia or palpitations of your heart, right? Those are all possibilities that could be, part of the mineral underlying solution. And you may not get enough minerals, by the way, with magnesium and potassium. Those may have to be added in separately. So I hope that's a good kind of first step for y'all. If you want to reach out to myself because you're having underlying issues, feel free to reach down below. You can click on the link and schedule a consult with myself and or my colleagues. We're happy to help worldwide. And if you're enjoying the content, thumbs up, hit the bell, and comments down below. Really appreciate it. All right, let's dive into a couple of quick questions here. I've heard a chiropractor say that there are natural trans fats that are good for us. Is that true? Yeah, there's some natural trans fats in butter that are fine. Again, natural trans fats not the same as hydrogenated soybean oil or canola or safflower, right? Most of the fats that are hydrogenated are not good fats, and they're very unstable. Some of the natural hydrogenation in butter is a very stable fat. So is coconut because it's saturated. Good questions. I may skip questions if they don't pertain to the topic, by the way. My fingertips are ripple, and am I dehydrated? Maybe. It just depends what you mean by ripple. Like you go in to a pool, and after an hour, your fingers get kind of pruned up. Is that what you mean? If not, it could be something going on with protein and fat digestion, because you need good fat digestion to bring hydration to the skin. So it could be a digestive issue too. Is it true you're having mucus issues that maybe you should limit the water intake? I'm not sure of that. I would think water's pretty neutral for mucus. It would only help flush. Typically, mucus, you're going to look at mucus-producing food, so dairy is going to be a big one. Should you drink more water if you're doing activated charcoal in the morning? You can definitely do that because those things can be more binding and can definitely be more drying. So yeah, any kind of clay or activated charcoal or diatomaceous earth, yeah, you can definitely consume more water and more minerals to compensate. Great questions. I was smoking 7 cigarettes per day between 2007 and 2009. Then I quit and never smoked again. What are my chances of getting cancer? Oh, probably pretty slim. I wouldn't really worry about that. That's not that big of a deal, but you can always do all the natural things with food, and everything else are only going to help with that. I'm not too worried about it. You can always do some infrared sauna to help with extra detoxification deeper down in, but I'm not too worried about it. Topo Chico is moving to the alcohol industry. Will you give it a try? And does the alcohol deplete the minerals in it? Meaning, like, are they making like a drink with Topo Chico with some like vodka in there kind of thing? I mean, if you're going to do a mixed drink, having carbonation actually increases the alcohol absorption. So what does that mean? It means you just need less alcohol to engage in your healthy buzz, which is fine. So I'm fine with that. Just, of course, moderation is fine. And yeah, so alcohol does inhibit antidiuretic hormone. So antidiuretic hormone, it's the anti-pee hormone. So in other words, so diuretic makes you pee. So it inhibits ADH. So antidiuretic is the anti-pee hormone. So if you inhibit the anti-pee hormone, you pee. So you get double negative, right? Diuretic and then the anti, so you cross them out, it's a positive. It's weird because you get two negatives, they equal a positive. So anyway, alcohol makes you pee. And so when you pee, what does that mean? You're losing a lot of minerals, okay? Coffee's kind of similar as well. Coffee's a diuretic, so you'll pee more with that. And so you may lose more minerals. So it's good to hydrate with extra minerals while you're drinking alcohol. And of course, after coffee. So I had coffee when I woke up. And so what did I drink after my coffee? I had 12 ounces of celery juice. It's about 1,200 milligrams of potassium, okay? And then I've had my second Topo Chico for the day. So rolling with that. So hope that makes sense on the ADH. So anti-diuretic. So diuretic means pee. And then anti-diuretic is anti-pee. And then if you inhibit the anti-diuretic, you're promoting peeing. Keep it simple. All right. Very good. Is mucus in the throat after eating an inflammatory response? It could be. I mean, you see it a lot with dairy, for instance, but yeah, there could definitely be an inflammatory response. Look at the food allergens that could be the case. Are kombuchas healthy to drink every day? How about the sugars in them? Yeah, I mean, it depends on the kombucha. I drink one every day. It depends. So like GT Dave's, the sugar count's pretty low. They had a lawsuit 2 years ago. If you notice, their sugar counts went from 2 grams per serving to 8. It's really actually 2. So in the lawsuit, they got sued because what they put on the label wasn't what they started their culture with. So for instance, they started their culture with 8 grams of sugar. The culture ate 80% of the sugar, so it went from 8 grams to 2 grams. But because they started with 8 grams in the culture, they had to put on the label what they started with, not what they finished with. So that's kind of the lawsuit in regards to them. So kombucha, as long as you're choosing like the GT Dave's or a low sugar version, Kavita's pretty good, then you're okay. There are some that are very, very high sugar, just as high as a Coke. So just stick with brands that are lower sugar, and I think you're probably fine. I consume avocados to get my potassium. How many avocados per day is the upper limit? I mean, one's a pretty good whack. That's a gram or so, but you need about 4,700 milligrams if you're not stressed. What if you're drinking a lot of water but are still dehydrated? Minerals. So go watch the video again. All the minerals we chatted about. Hey, thanks, Casey. Appreciate it. My mom fainted coming off a bad flu months ago, and she had been adding a high potassium electrolyte powder to her water and said she felt better after the hospital gave her saline. Was low sodium likely? Definitely. Sodium seemed very likely. I mean, what happens when you have the flu is you're nauseous. You don't want to drink, right? And then sometimes if you drink, you throw up because your nausea is so bad. That's where an IV can be very helpful because it bypasses the gut and absorption. Ripple fingers, not while in water. Yeah, think protein, think fat. Can celery juice be bad for someone with adrenal issues? Probably not. Again, you could have high potassium because your sodium's super, super, super low. It's possible because when you get adrenal dysfunction, you can be very low in potassium and it can artificially you can be very low in sodium, which can artificially bump potassium because sodium and potassium has a natural balance. So if you go really, really low in sodium because of adrenal issues, you could artificially bump up potassium. So I wouldn't say don't have potassium. I would just say make sure you really get your sodium and chloride up as well together. How should one drink water so the body absorbs the minerals rather than losing it in the urine? I mean, you just drink it. You just drink it, right? I'm not sure what your question means. So how should one drink the water? So the body, just drink it. Now, what you can do is when you take your water, you can impregnate your DNA on it. So instead of just guzzling it, you can swish it around your mouth like for a second or two and then swallow it. That way your saliva is kind of impregnated on the water. So your DNA is kind of already mixed in with that water versus just like guzzling it down. So that's one way. But I mean, for the most part, room temperature water is better. If it's too cold, it'll sit in your stomach a lot longer. Coconut oil causes hair loss. Could it be affecting hormones? I mean, if you have a food allergy to it, yeah, it's possible. Could be a FODMAP issue. If you're sensitive to it, yeah, cut it out. If you have a food allergen and you're exposed to that food and it's causing inflammation, it could be a problem. Can GI tests reveal if your digestive acids are low? A little bit. I mean, if you see low elastase, you can probably guarantee you have low HCl levels because you need HCl to stimulate enzyme production. So yeah, indirectly. And if you see high steatocrit, meaning poor fat digestion, it could be a good sign that you're not getting enough HCl as well. How to clear, fast the urine and blood after partying. So, I mean, just drinking good minerals and try to have a mineral drink in between every drink or every 2 drinks is helpful. You can do activated charcoal when you're drinking alcohol, and you can do N-acetylcysteine and or glutathione and vitamin C throughout the night as well. And you can also do some extra milk thistle, silymarin and stuff as well, and then really work on hydration before bed. Great questions. What food depletes or reduces liver function and bile production and reduces stomach acid? Inflammatory foods. Refined sugar, grains, alcohol, all of those things are going to be a problem. And of course, going low fat can cause your bile not to flow, and then over time they can crystallize and you can get stones. Added potassium electrolyte powder to my water and felt nauseous immediately after. Could that mean potassium levels are not even with sodium? It depends. Potassium is pretty noxious tasting, so you may have to start with a lower dose. You may not need as much either, because that is a high potassium side effect. So you may not need as much. And it could be also the taste is pretty noxious. So doing potassium in water in smaller doses. If you need it higher doses, you may be better off just doing it in a capsule form. Great questions. Let me hit Facebook real fast. Lauren writes, Dr. J, what are your thoughts on a recent RLC lab medicine recalls? I was on WP thyroid for a year, but I got even worse. Switch back to levothyroxine. Feel like I can't trust anyone. Yeah, so a couple of options. You could go from WP to Nature-Throid. That may be the better, more even option. I would do that. If not, I have one called Thyroid Balance. We could calibrate, but I would go WP to Nature-Throid. That would probably be your best bet. If not, we could always do Armor or NP as an option. But Nature-Throid and WP are more similar, and then Armor and NP are more similar. So I'd rather keep it in that family. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened on that recall. I mean, that can happen from time to time, but I don't really have any info on it directly, though. But that's how I would calibrate it. Great question, though. Okay, great. I think we answered all the questions today, guys. So if you enjoyed the content, thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Again, justinhealth.com/iTunes for a review. Screenshot it, email it to me, and we may do a video on that topic. I appreciate it, y'all. Thumbs up. Have an awesome day. Take care. Bye.